America is... Oder?
Ja.
Was gibt es noch?
Wie gesehen, die Comics, ja, die stehen. Was wir noch haben, ist noch ein Film, besser gesagt, ist mehr so eine Serie, eine Horrorserie. Die ist auch übel bekannt, das kennt jeder. Und die es nicht kennen, Pech gehabt. Geschichten aus der Gruft, ne? Mit dem Crypt Keeper. Das ist so eine Horrorserie, wo eigentlich jeder, der Rang und Namen hat, der irgendwie mal irgendwo in Hollywood irgendwas gemacht hat, da auch mal eine Folge gedreht hat. Ja? Da war zum Beispiel der Herr Schwarz. Und der Höhlenmensch grunzte fröhlich vor sich hin, ja? In Ekstase geritten von seiner Show. Cool, eben die Comics sind wirklich geil, ne? Wo war ich? Ja, Schwarzenegger hat dann einmal eine Folge gedreht, das sind die ganz alten, die ersten, ja, das sind noch die. Whoopi Goldberg, ja, genau, und Joe Pesci und einfach alle, ja, ne? Und jetzt ist erstmals da die allerersten Folgen, die jemals für diese Serie produziert wurden, sind jetzt auch auf DVD erschienen, ne? Das ist cool. Der stimmt doch. Und ja, das kommt.
But really, take episode 5, please! Just kidding. Actually, episode 5 had everything. Ghosts, murder, people slicing and dicing each other. It would have done my heart good if my heart hadn't fallen out in 1953. Anyway, remember episode 6? It was called Collection Completed, and it was about this guy who retires and then finds all his wife's pets running around driving him nuts. So he takes up taxidermy. You guessed it, still lots of pets, but very little running around. And that, boils and ghouls, is how Tales from the Crypt became a classic. And I became the world's first undead superstar. And as you watch the first 6 episodes again, I'd just like to say if you find them too disgusting, too repulsive, and totally gross, then I've done my job.
Das gute Stück, das kann man jetzt hier kaufen, das ist erschienen in einer schönen Buchbox hier.
Gibt es schon 4 oder 5 oder 6 Buchboxen, ne?
Ja.
Das ist die allererste Staffel. Die DVD, die ihr zu Hause habt, Tales from the Crypt, so eine Steelcase-Box oder die Breite, ist nur eine Staffel.
Richtig.
Von jensten, ne?
Ganz genau. Wie gesagt, da ist immer schön das Intro mit dem Crypt Keeper, ne? Den kennt ihr alle. Ansonsten hast du noch ein paar Extras drauf, schmucke Extras, zum Beispiel vom Comic-Heft zum Fernsehen. Wie da
Drum in dieser Sendung, passt ja.
Genau, wie da die Comics adaptiert wurden, dass dann daraus alles verfilmt wurde, ne? Das ist wunderbar.
They were shocking.
They were horribly gruesome. They were bloody. People were being chopped up and battered with axes. And I'm 9 or 10. I'd never seen anything like this. It was amazing.
Horror comics were, you know, to my little 7, 8-year-old self, they were my pornography. And this was the stuff that I knew I shouldn't be looking at, but, you know, I couldn't give it up.
They were sensational.
They reached deeper and deeper into the springboard barrel. The stories got bloodier and bloodier. Did it go overboard? Yeah, I think so in a couple of spots.
I didn't write it, but I drew it. And I felt very bad about that. Mothers and fathers say, I don't want my kid to read that.
They were controversial.
Well, do you think that this cover is in bad taste? And Bill said, no, I don't think so. How would it be in bad taste? And he said, well, if you showed the gore dripping from it. And they nailed him with that.
And ultimately, they were outlawed.
I think they were all completely shocked when the Senate subcommittee came forward and said, you people are the cause of juvenile delinquency.
The horror comics were a very convenient target. And The powers that be took advantage of that.
The controversy quickly drew the attention of political leaders, and the U.S. Senate Subcommittee to investigate juvenile delinquency agreed to look into the matter. Led by Tennessee Senator Estes Kefauver, the panel held hearings in New York City on April 21, 1954. The star witness was none other than Dr. Frederick Wortham.
It is my opinion, without any reasonable doubt and without any reservation, that comic books are an important contributing factor in many cases of juvenile delinquency.
Wortham worked from an improper premise. That is, he decided that the troubled children that he was analyzing read comic books. Therefore, that was a source of their trouble. And of course, there were plenty of children reading comic books who were leading perfectly normal lives, and in fact, most of them were very happy.
As adults, we get to a certain age, and all of a sudden we stop being inside, we stop wanting to take chances. We start being more afraid of the world, and we start protecting our children. We don't realize what it was like to be a kid. And so here comes seduction of the innocent. Claims that these comic books are going to turn us kids into juvenile delinquents. Well, poor guy, I have news for him. They turned me into a movie director. I didn't become a juvenile delinquent. This guy's dead wrong. Dead wrong.
My name is William.
Although many of the attacks were directed at other publishers, Bill Gaines asked for and was granted permission to testify before the committee.
I was the first publisher in these United States to publish horror comics. I'm responsible. I started them. Some may not like them. That's a matter of personal taste. It would be just as difficult to explain the harmless thrill of a horror story to a Dr. Wortham as it would be to explain the sublimity of love to a frigid old maid. My father was proud of the comics he published, and I'm proud of the comics I published.
Gaines defended his books on the grounds of free speech. He told the committee that he felt constrained only by the limits of good taste.
What happened was, of course, Bill was not astute enough or experienced enough to be able to parry some of the "when did you stop beating your wife" questions that came flying at him after his testimony.
One of those questions concerned a recent issue of EC's crime suspense stories.
Do you think that this cover is in bad taste? And Bill said, no, I don't think so. How would it be in bad taste? And he said, well, if you showed the gore dripping from it. And they nailed him with that.
The exchange made front-page news and turned public opinion decisively against Gaines.
Bill's mistake was, by volunteering to testify, he focused all the negativity on himself and EC Comics. So now the villain, the evil comic book publisher, now had a face and a name, and that name was William M. Gaines.
The Senate hearings quickly turned up the heat on EC. Wholesalers began refusing to handle Gaines's comics. Bundles were returned to the office, unopened. Attempting to rally the other comic book publishers, Gaines proposed an association to fight the growing witch hunt.
So he called a meeting to say, let's fight this censorship as a group. And the other publishers had a wonderful idea about how to fight the censorship. Let's get rid of the violence, let's get rid of the horror, let's wipe out all of the stuff that EC does, and then we'll all be very happy.
Gaines stormed out of the meeting, leaving the other publishers to form the Comics Magazine Association of America. The group immediately outlawed the use of the words crime, horror, terror, and weird, all of which had figured prominently in EC's biggest sellers. The publishers also established a code of ethics, which forbade all scenes of horror, excessive bloodshed, and gory or gruesome crimes. All comics which complied with the code would receive the association's seal of approval. Judge Charles Murphy, a New York City magistrate, was appointed the first code administrator, the comics czar. Ostracized by the other publishers, And with no wholesalers willing to handle his comics, Gaines was forced to surrender. On September 14th, 1954, he announced that he was discontinuing his line of horror and crime comics.
I, for one, do not believe, and never have believed, that comics are a cause of juvenile delinquency. I've taken this action based on a premise which has never been proven. However, I feel that the public must be served. If this is the way the public wants it, this is the way it'll have to be as far as I'm concerned.
I was too young to pay attention to the Kefauver hearings. All I knew is that one day I couldn't find my EC comics anymore. And I was left with, Superman and Batman and, just, whatever was left. They were good, but it wasn't the same.
Früher war ja das auch nur ein Comic in Amerika, oder? Das war früher eigentlich ursprünglich eine Comicserie, Geschichten aus der Gruft, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from Bin Laden, Tales from Bush, Tales from We Can. Und jetzt, jetzt Tales from Hormonen, ne? The new president is ein Hormon. And his fat girl wife has painted the face, ne? Aber bei Hormonen...
It's not allowed to paint the face.
Ja, the overnext president will be an Amish.
Then in America is without electricity and no cars, you go just with the postkutsche and horses. Very cool.
Jawohl.
Yeah. No.
And the criminal will be mit
Pfeil und Bogen.
Ja, mit Pfeil und Bogen, ja.
No, really, it's very cool that you Americans have so viel Spaß an unserer Show. Und deswegen, we want just to say, North America, it's cool, look this shit. And it's very spaßig, ne?
Ja, and fuck das System, hä? And fuck Goldman Sachs und fuck Federal Reserve and fuck your fucking fuck! American peoples are ja not so. Peoples America sind... You fucking fuck! Oder?
Ja.
Oh, yes.
So, jetzt wieder zurück ins Deutsche, ne? Ansonsten ist eigentlich alles beim Alten, immer noch blank, ja, schlank und rank. So geht das bei uns, ne? Aber wie ihr gesehen habt, wir entwickeln uns ja auch weiter, ne? Wir haben jetzt da tolles Equipment am Start. Die Schufterei hat sich endlich mal bezahlt gemacht, ne?
Ja, schon.
Und deswegen wird in Zukunft das auf einem höheren Level stattfinden, das Ganze hier, ne? Also das hier, das
ziemlich sicher werden die auch die nächsten 3 Folgen werden länger dauern, wahrscheinlich jeden Monat eine, aber es lohnt sich, weil wir wollen jetzt 3 Kurzfilme nacheinander drehen. Also nach 7 Jahren oder 8 Jahren machen wir jetzt wieder effektiv die Kurzfilme. Und
Back to the Roots.
Ja, Back to the Roots und Back to the Film Festival nachher bei der Zeit. Jawohl. Wir ficken alle in den verfickten Arschen vor das verfickte NIF, wir verfickten Ficklöcher vom NIF. Nächstes Jahr laufen diese Kurzfilme bei euch am NIF. Und wir wollen dann auch ein sehr teures Hotel. Und wenn wir dann einen Interviewtermin haben, erscheinen wir natürlich dann auch nicht vor Ort.
Genau.
Weil wir dann betrunken irgendwo in der Gosse liegen und denken, leck mich doch am Arsch. Wie die New Kids Nitro, ihr verfickten New Kids, ihr scheiß Fotzen New Kids.
Genau.
Das war also wieder deine Psycho-Heiko-Horror-Show. Viel Spaß damit.
Meine Gedanken schwarz wie im dunklen Wald. Ich liebe an die Hand, abgeschnitten, abgebissen, abgerissen. Hängt oder liegt Blut, dann ist der Film auch wirklich gut. Ein Preis, ein Witz und die Idee schon ist es eine bessere Drogen als Schnee. Wenn du nicht weißt, wer ist es gewesen, hat der Film genug Teil dabei. Wollt ich nur auf den Schnitt mit dem offenen Mund aus Gesicht. Die Geschichte nimmt kein Handy, weil es privilegierte Wattli haben es kapiert. Wenn du guten Film willst, musst du zum Heiko im Psycho-Shop. Dort öffnen sich die Gewalt vorausgesetzt. Du bist 18 und hast skall